A lot of people are very short-term focused. I don't know. I don't understand why, because I'm always long-term. So, but I can understand, like, a lot of investors, when they lose a 10% is a lot. But I think for those type of people, if you're really worried, then you shouldn't be doing day trading. You should just buy and hold if those things worry you. So yeah, but anyway, so I'm not worried about this industry. I'm not worried about the macroeconomics. I think things will get a lot better.
Yeah. And well, that leads nicely on to what I wanted to ask you next. Was crypto's been in existence, Bitcoin was created 16 years ago now. And as someone who has built so much in this ecosystem, and you were involved from such an early stage in Bitcoin's existence, do you think over these 16 years that crypto has over or under-delivered on its promise?
I actually think it's under-delivered. I think we should have done a lot more, but there were external forces that are pushing us back. Right, so the regulatory landscape was not clear. There was war on crypto from the last U.S. administration, which causes a lot of governments to not want to adopt it. So I think so far we've been developing slower than what we should have. But now, because of that slowdown, now there's a counter reaction. So now, U.S. is 180 degrees now. So hopefully now that will allow us to accelerate much faster. And also different parts of the ecosystem have developed differently because there was so much pressure on any coin that resembles a utility coin, which will be classified as a security. The meme coins took off, right? So, but I think now might be a good time to sort of bring back the activities back onto utility tokens.
Yeah, I think from talking to other people in the industry, I really get a sense that although meme coins it's been a fascinating space to watch. It's been fascinating to see, the rise of pump.fun and things like that. But I really get a sense that the industry itself is kind of desperate to move beyond that. It's like, okay, these things are fun, these things are cool or whatever, but what comes next?
Well, I think this is the beauty of decentralization, right? Nobody knows and nobody decides. So, for the people who want short-term gains or they want to go find the next gem that is going to 10x based on their, $10,000, that's great. They go do that. And their builders were building, then we build, right? So nobody can decide and nobody controls. And it's decentralization kind of implies chaos anyway, because so many different people are doing different things. But there are general trends, right? So over time, they will converge on the trends and the industry will develop. So I don't try to predict the industry, but I just try to observe what's hot and try to follow, hopefully not so far behind, and support the industry growth. So that's typically how I operate. I think there's quite a lot going on right now. The RWAs, tokenized securities, which kind of falls under RWAs right now.
Yeah.
The government adoption of blockchain technologies, AI, DeSci, a lot of these things are happening. I don't know which one's going to take off next, but I think there's a lot of intersection between AI and the blockchain. So and AI is going so fast, we should try to latch onto that as well. So there's so many different opportunities. So I'm always optimistic, and for optimistic person, you just see opportunities everywhere. We lack builders to build all of those things.
Yeah, it's kind of part of the thrill of it, isn't it? Because you see so much potential in things like RWAs or the intersection of blockchain and AI, and you think, what is going to be the next thing? But that's part of, I guess that's part of the magic of crypto as well. It'll probably surprise us. Maybe it won't be either of those. Maybe it was something completely different.
Exactly. Most likely will be something completely different. It's always like that. So, but if we knew already, then we would be fully on it, right? So, but I think, meme coins, they were hot for quite a while, but now I think it's like cooled down quite a bit. So I still wish that, that sector is hot, because any sector that's hot helps the rest of the sectors. But yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to predict which ones to be the next hot sector.
Do you see a particular niche for BNB?
I don't particularly have that view. I think the L1s should be broad. It should hopefully have multiple sectors on each L1. I think one L1 should not only have one use case, or at least one sector. If you just have meme coin, when the heat goes away from that, then you kind of then it's not good.
Yeah.
And the different sectors actually don't need different blockchains. The blockchain itself is the same. All you need is a speed and throughput, right? And low fees. So if you have high throughput, then the fees will be low. So the L1s don't differ that much. The technology doesn't differ. What differs is really what ecosystem you attract. So now I think the competition on L1s are mostly how to build an ecosystem. And this is quite difficult for most entrepreneurs because most entrepreneurs, they build a product. So to build an ecosystem that requires a different type of skill, which I'm also learning, right? So business development skills, how to attract developer tools, the whole sort of landscape. And then, so it requires a slightly different type of skill. But I do think that for a blockchain or L1 to be successful, you have to have multiple different sectors. I think Ethereum is still quite strong, but it's just that previously they bet on L2s. So they haven't really scaled the L1. So I think now they realize they need to scale the L1s, but it'll take some time for them to do so. But Ethereum is nowhere near dead, right? It's still the second largest chain. So it has a lot of fundamentals, and it has a lot of users, and it has a lot of money on the chain. So if they can improve the throughput and then lower the gas fee, then you'll be back in competition. So so Ethereum's still done really well.
Yeah, I think Ethereum's a good example, isn't it? Of like they've got, as you say, they've got so much. There's so much going on chain and in its ecosystem. They've got so much talent working on it, and I guess it's just that unifying vision that it needs. You know, a blockchain like that needs someone steering the ship. You think?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think that there are advantages to both approaches. The reason Bitcoin is so big is there's no one steering, right? So that's the most decentralized blockchain. Whereas Ethereum, everyone's waiting for Vitalik, and Vitalik, I think probably because of the negative comments on Twitter, etc. He's less active on social media, but he's young, he's still building. So there's pros and cons. I think Vitalik's like one of the geniuses in the space. And also for BNB chain, I'm not doing that much. I'm like really just sort of helping others to build on the chain. So I'm more of a facilitator. Some call me a mentor or advisor, but I'm just sort of coordinating people to do more. So I'm not doing the technical stuff like Vitalik. So there are different approaches for different blockchains. So my approach is how to help the ecosystem grow. So less about the technical stuff. We have very strong technical people. I'm not doing the technical stuff right now. So I'm not sure which one is the best approach. I don't think there's any one best approach. I'm just using the approach that works for me. But then again, for L1s, we don't need like 100 L1s. No. Like we need like a dozen, right? So there's still room for more. But what we need more now, in my view, is we need more applications to be built. So that's really what I think.
Yeah, there's a real sense, I think, in the industry, isn't there? It's like we have the infrastructure. The infrastructure is great. There's so many innovative protocols. Now let's have stuff that we can use to do stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, do you think that over the next few years, then we're going to see that L1 space sort of consolidate into like a handful of maybe, like you say, maybe 6-10 winners or something?
Actually, I don't think so. So I think ideally that's what I'd like to see. But in reality, there will always be like 1,000 L1s.
Okay.
Because there's so many different teams around the world, and every so often somebody wants to build a new L1. And every project they want like L1 is sexier than an L2. So everyone wants to build an L1, and L1 is also sexier than building an app on a chain. Yeah. So to some extent, I think at least today, the narrative may shift. I think once we have a couple apps that are valued more than the chain, then people will build more apps, right? So if you think about it, the New York Stock Exchange the valuation is about 80 billion. Apple, Tesla, they're like trillions, 2-3 trillion, right? So the apps on the infrastructure can be worth way more than the infrastructure. But today the infrastructure is worth more. So everyone want to build this another new infrastructure. So again, I don't know how exactly it will play out, but there will always be 1,000 teams trying to do L1s. But I think there will be network effects where the top 3 or 4 chains will take majority of the volume, which is already the case today. Yeah. Right. So if you look at the top 3 or 4 chains, they took like 99% of the volume. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like in a way, we're still so firmly at the beginning of this journey. Like, so much has happened in the last 16 years, but it kind of feels like we're almost just getting started, really.
I think we're just getting started. Like, if you look at the internet, like, we're still building new internet infrastructure today, right? So we're still building new internet apps. Internet took like 30 years to get to where it is now. And even today, like, a video call doesn't work very well very often.
Yeah.
Right. You would think, like, for 30 years ago, we thought about, video conferencing. This is an old concept that still doesn't work very well. So it takes time for industries to mature. So I think 30 years from now, we'll still be working on blockchain for sure. There'll be a lot of more different apps.
Yeah.
And 30 years from now, I think things will move a bit faster given that we have AI to help us. So we're at the beginning.
Yeah. Some much needed optimism, I think. It's always good to hear an optimistic take on the markets, because, I mean, you've mentioned yourself that you're a naturally optimistic person. Can I ask then, outside of crypto more generally, as I alluded to earlier, there's so much happening in the world at the moment. There's so much social upheaval, political upheaval, economic upheaval, technological upheaval. Are you sort of naturally optimistic about the future in general, not just of crypto, or does it kind of scare you sometimes, just the direction we might be heading?
I think I'm a naturally optimistic person. Nothing phases me too much. Even when I was in prison, I was pretty optimistic that I would get out. So it was like, it wasn't too bad. If somebody else can live through that, I can probably survive. So, and I have a very stable mentality as well. So luckily, I don't get depression. I don't get any of this issues mentally. So I do sympathize for the people who do. But I think having a strong, stable mentality is really important. But also, just throughout my life, I've been really lucky overall, right? So last year was a bit unlucky, but in the grand scheme of things, I've been super lucky in my life. I think very few people are in a position where I am today, where I have resources, I have a mixed reputation, but I have a large reputation. I have a large amount of followers. And also, again, as I said earlier, I'm not that old. I'm not that young, but I'm not that old. So I still have energy. I still have time and energy to do stuff. Very few people are in my position to be able to do that. Yeah. So so I think I've been super lucky. So I'm always optimistic.
Yeah, it's always refreshing to hear someone acknowledge, again, luck plays such a big part in life, doesn't it? And I think it's always great to hear someone acknowledge that, because I think it's something that people forget very easily. But of course, we make our own luck to an extent. So credit to you.
Yeah, I think look, if everybody in this room, if we compare to some of the unlucky people in the world, we're super lucky, right? Just if you there's so many people who can go to school. There's so many people who are worried about food. We're not worried about those things, so we're already being very lucky. So there's always a richer person. There's always and money is not happiness, right? So just having money is only one of the very few resources that's actually quite unlimited right now, because governments can print it. So money is only a very small factor. Especially after going through a prison experience, you learn that there's so many other things that are so much more important than money. So I think having health is super important, right? So most of people here are going to be relatively healthy. And we are educated, we have good jobs, we have good income, we're not worried about food. So we're very lucky.
Yeah. I think that's an important note to almost end on. But I just want to, before we do, I just want to ask you one more question, Cz. If you could go back in time, let's say you could go back in time 10 years and give your younger self one bit of advice, what would it be?
I would start Binance early.
That is a mic drop if ever I heard it. Fantastic. Well, Cz, I got to say, it's really important this industry has people like yourself, thought leaders out there giving some leadership and direction to the industry. It's an interesting time to be in crypto, and it's great to have you here sort of showing the way.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for coming. And I think we have a lot of room to go, so we can continue to build. And thank you for your support.